Let me move to Prefar, another old product. It was registered first in the 60s. First by Stauffer, then ICI or Zeneca had it for a while, and Gowan has had it since about the mid-1990s. I've had several trials with Prefar, and I've had anywhere, in this case, from 100% control to 0 control. And this isn't magic, there's got to be a reason for it, and we're constantly looking for reasons for why this occurs. And with Prefar, every year we see anywhere from 0 to 100% control. In this case, let me back up, this is ground cherry, and Prefar, if you were going to grow ground cherry, you could use Prefar. You could use Prefar as a herbicide on ground cherry. It just has no activity on it. Prefar is active on 4 or 5 broadleaf weeds and several grasses, but that's about it. It's not very broad spectrum. Unlike Dacthal, Prefar can be incorporated very well with sprinklers, but not at all with furrow irrigation. If you're going to spray Prefar on the bed top and try and incorporate it with furrow irrigation, it's just not going to work. It also adheres very strongly to the soil, but it takes a lot of water to incorporate it, to move it off the soil surface down to where the weeds are germinating. This is a trial we did several years ago where we applied different amounts of water over the top of Prefar, and you can see it worked better. The more water we put on it, the better. So the key to using Dacthal is putting it on pre-emergence and incorporating it with overhead sprinklers and putting a lot of water on. This is a herbicide that I started to work with in the mid-1900s. It's called Sandia now. At that time it was MON 12,000. It's developed by Monsanto. We always thought of it, and still do think of it, mainly as a nutsedge herbicide. The active ingredient is halosulfuron. This is one of my first trials with it on grain sorghum, and it worked very well. You can see on purple nutsedge. It's now registered on several crops. It belongs to Gowan Company now. It's called Sandia in melons. It's also called Permit on grain sorghum and corn. Yukon is a premix with dicamba or Banville. And for turf control, it's called Sedgehammer. In addition to nutsedge, it has very good activity on broadleaf weeds, and it's now registered in melons, which tolerates Sandia fairly well. This is a trial we had. We had 10 different melon varieties, and you can see our plots spread across the melon varieties. This was common purslane. It was applied pre-emergence and incorporated with sprinklers, and you can see how very active this herbicide is. It was very good on purslane. You can see, if you can't see it real well here because of the weeds, but it also stunted the melons. And melons can tolerate it fairly well. Post-emergence, once the crop is established, pre-emergence, you get quite a bit of stunting. It's a very difficult herbicide to understand. It's only good pre-emergence on some weeds like purslane. It won't control purslane post-emergence. It's only good post-emergence on weeds like nutsedge and some weeds both. But it's a tough herbicide to really get a good understanding of. This is a field where we applied it over the top of some melons, and that's pigweed. It's stunted in almost all cases, even with nutsedge. Sandia takes more than one application. I had some nutsedge in my yard. I've been spraying for 7 years with Sandia. It's a constant. It takes 2 or 3 applications a year for I don't know how many years. But it's not. You get such good initial knockdown that you think it's doing a better job than it is over the long haul. I want to finish up with some non-chemical techniques. This is plastic. Plastic works very well for melons on wide beds with drip irrigation. You can see on the left there, no plastic as opposed to plastic in this case with watermelons. If there's moisture in the furrows, you can get weeds in the furrow. People have sometimes seen sprayed Roundup in between the middles, and some people reported that if some of it gets on the plastic, the melons can pick it up when the vines spread. In this case, this is kind of a novel approach. I've never worked with this, but it may be an idea to try. It's kind of like a chemical mud flap. It's like like an old wick for melons, but it drags it right down between those furrows. I wanted to finish up with this. A few years ago, people started to say they thought they were seeing problems with Select Max on melons, and we've never seen activity on broadleaves with any of those grass herbicides. In this case, we put out a trial. We didn't expect to see anything, but we did. And I just wanted to mention, this is a 2x rate. This was Select Max. It's just the Select Max. There's something in that formulation that causes injury to melons where you get a 2x rate, where you get overlapping and you slow down at the ends of the field. And that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. If anybody has any questions, I think I've already told you everything I know. Thank you very much.